This is CardGamesTV1 podcast, episode 11. The game plan. So basically, the thing is that you gotta have a game plan, right? You gotta have a strategy for winning the game, you have to have a plan for how you're gonna play the game. So that's where your, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4 plays are. It's important to know your lines of plays for your deck. Whether you built the deck or not, you gotta know your lines of play, your basic lines of play. Then there's the advanced lines of plays based off of certain matchups, how you sequence certain cards based off of certain matchups. Because sometimes playing certain cards differently. I'll use like Bardic Raiders Warcry for example. Typically, I like to use Raiders Warcry on my turn. But against certain matchups, it would be better to play it on your opponent's turn. So instead of trying to drop them on your turn, drop them on your opponent's turn first. Then swing on your turn, right? Obviously. But I tend to want to drop them on my turn so I can swing with them on my turn, right? I'm trying to do as much damage as I can per turn until turn 4. But against certain matchups, it would be better to use it defensively instead of offensively, or at least use it defensively first, then go on the offense. So defense, offense, defense, offense, and other matchups, you'll just do what you normally would do. Like I normally would do, just offense, 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 until it's time for me to go on the defense. So that kind of stuff. But you always have the basic line of play. You normally play something a certain way. Just like a rival plays, a lot of times I tend to rival my turns more than my opponent's turn, but there are times where it's best to rival my opponent's turn. Some card effects, are good to play on your turn to get certain things out of them, but sometimes you need the same ability but on your opponent's turn. For example, Kaioken Goku is good, to play on your turn and board wipe your opponent, all his 20k or less battle cards, but sometimes you need that ability during your opponent's turn, and since Goku can't be used on your opponent's turn, you gotta find something else that does somewhat what he does, but on your opponent's turn. And that's where Exploding Weakness Vegeta comes in, because you could play him for 3 on your opponent's turn and negative 20k to all your opponent's battle cards, which could potentially board wipe them, or at least just allow you to survive that turn, which is almost the same thing, right? Almost the same concept. The idea is to just always get extra turns so you can get extra attacks and get the chances to deal the damage you're trying to deal. Which the goal is to deal 8 damage, of course. So that's the whole point of a game plan. Some people play decks trying to understand how, like they'll take a deck that's already pre-built, like a certain like a Janemba deck or something, and use the Janemba chain and stuff like that. Like, alright, that's cool. You want to try that stuff and try what Bandai created. That's cool to each their own. But the thing is, you're supposed to have a game plan of how you plan to win, and you want a strategy that is reliable, like a plan that always works, right? A plan that always ends up in the result that you want. That way, when you're playing the game, you're not thinking about winning, right? I mean, we all want to win, right? You're not thinking about winning. You're not trying to figure out while you're playing how to win and what's the best course of action, what's the best lines of play to get you to your your end result, which is winning. That's supposed to already been done before you even play the game. That's supposed to be done when you were testing the deck, when you built the deck, right? That's where game plan comes in. It's like you already know what you're supposed to do to win. The goal is to get to a certain point. If you have a deck that has a turn 5 burn strategy, for example, or a turn 5 mill strategy, where you deck your opponent out for game on turn 5, then you know your goal is to get to turn 5. That's the game plan. Get to turn 5. Whatever you gotta do, get to turn 5. Sometimes you might have to give up even your win con just to get to turn 5, because that's the goal, right? That's the plan. The plan is to get to turn 5. You either get to turn 5 with the cards you need to win on turn 5, or you just get to turn 5. It might seem, a little contradicting, the idea of getting to turn 5 without your win con, but that's part of the game, right? I mean, the game plan is to get to turn 5. Of course, you want to get there with your win con, but if you lose your win con in the process, alright, that happens. But at least you got to turn 5, so at least you're meeting one criteria. Because it makes no sense to try to keep your win con right, but never make it to turn 5. Your win con has no use until turn 5, right? That's the whole point. If the win con you can only use on turn 5, then turn 5 is the goal. You need to get there for the win con to even matter. If you don't get there, then the win con was pointless, and that's where it gets to the point where it's like, that's why sometimes you might have to give up your win con, just because getting to turn 5 is more important than the idea of the win con, right? Getting to turn 5 is the goal. Get there, and hopefully, maybe you'll activate some draw effects, and hopefully either get another of your win cons, like an SCR or something, or maybe you end up getting the cards you need for a win con. Or something as simple as just like, oh, okay, I attack, I overwhelm, I attack, I chomp up, bang, game. It's like, oh, I still ended up winning using all these other cards. So then you created a win con within the scenario. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes your win con is just a random assortment of cards that just so happen to work well within that situation. Your win con could have been something as simple as like playing a topo on your opponent's turn, then on your turn you swung, champa, dumped your hand, and that was more than enough to win you the game. It's like, oh damn, that's all I needed to win? Yeah, apparently that's all you needed to win. Right? Topo, Righteous Aid, champa, and your hand to get them strong enough to win you the game. And sometimes that's all it takes. Ironically, with that basic strategy, that's a win con, right? That's a game plan. You can always try to go that route if need be. If you're in that situation, that's the best you can do. That's the best you can do. Sometimes playing multiple copies of certain cards can be a win con. So imagine playing topo every turn, like topo your opponent on their turn, then your turn you swing with topo, right? Then on your opponent's turn you drop another topo, then on your turn you swing with 2 topos, then on your opponent's turn you drop another topo, like that kind of scenario, right? So every turn you're adding another topo into your lineup, another 20k attacker, and then you're just swinging every turn, increasing your chances of damage getting through and getting your opponent down to 0 for game. So even something like that, even just that, it's not like that was your strategy, right? To play topo back to back and try to win that way. That's just what happened. So sometimes a game plan appears within the game, just like using 3 Barks Raiders Warcry. You have 3 of them and you have 6 energies. Like, you know what? I can do something with this. It's like, yeah, you can swing at your opponent with 30k double strikes back to back, and still plus a whole bunch of cards that on your last swing you can go beyond 30k, double strike in that strategy, in that lineup. So you could do a lot of damage with having multiple copies of certain cards. Sometimes some people don't consider that. They don't consider holding on to 2 copies of cards, because typically when we have more than 1 copy of a card, we tend to charge the extra copies, because we need energy, right? So we typically charge our extra copies of cards for energy purposes. But there's times where you don't want to charge your extra Bardic Raiders Warcry, right, or extra topo or something like that. You might want to keep them. So things like that, has to be taken into account. But that's stuff that happens while you're playing, where you decide, like, you know what, I should try to hold on to as many topos as possible. I might need to play them back to back. Like, all right, keep that in mind. That's a strategy, and that's nothing. Strategy, right? Strategy is strategy. But a game plan is something you're going to always do. That is the main the main strategy in the deck is you're going to play the deck a certain way to get a certain outcome. If you built the deck to win on turn 5, then that's the way it's supposed to be played. You play it and win on turn 5. So Anything else is just a variation of that game plan. It's a variation of that strategy. You gotta have a strategy. Most people I notice don't tend to have a strategy. Sometimes even these archetypes that come out out of sets, like Majin Vegeta deck or a blue baby deck or something, with the counterplay and stuff like that. They have good cards, good tools, right? Good mechanics and stuff, and that's usually what they give you is like the most basic stuff, like that you can use it and try to create a strategy with. Usually they don't have a strategy. I noticed that a lot of these pre-built decks, right? A lot of these archetypes don't really have a strategy. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they have certain lines of plays that they want you to do, but those lines of plays are just like, they're good because they're different. They do something, but that's the thing. They just do something for the sake of doing something. They don't do anything really great, anything logical. A lot of times, what does they say? It's about the easiest. Something about simple. I'm forgetting things now. It's about simplicity. Something about being simple. The easiest answer is always the best answer, or the simplest solution is the best solution. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is the idea that it's like you don't need some fancy 3-card combo to do it, to do certain things. A lot of times something as simple as just one card to give you that outcome. If you play a 3-card combo and all it does is do 3 damage, does 2 damage. You're doing 2 damage off of 3 cards. That doesn't sound so good. That sounds very weak. When you can do 2 damage with just 1 card, it's the idea. Is like you have a 3-card chain. They can, even though it does depend what it is. Let's say it's a 3-card chain where it could burn your opponent for 2 damage. Like, alright, that's decent. But it can only do it. It can only do it if your opponent has 4 more life or some shit like that, right? So there's not much. You can't use it to finish your opponent. If you could, then it's worth something. But you can only use it to weaken your opponent. It's like, all right, that's decent, but I better just swing with a battle card, give it double strike, and deal the 2 damage that way instead of doing a 3-card a specific 3-card combo, because you gotta have those 3 specific cards to do that strategy to just deal 2 damage. When I could just swing with anything, leader, battle card, unison, and just Champa or E Supreme card, right? Just give it double strike, or if it already has double strike, like Bardock's Raiders War Cry, then just just drop Bardock and swing with Bardock and double strike, and just simplify. Sometimes that's the thing you gotta think, is that some of these strategies that you see, some of these mechanics and stuff like that, sometimes it just boils down to like something simple. Something like, okay, this is just a different way of doing something that we already can do. Like, this chain can do 3 damage, cool, but I can do the same thing with just this 1 card, or just that 1 card, or with my leader effect, I can output 3 damage. So why, I can play this 1 battle card and it's triple strike, so it can do 3 damage all by itself. So 1 card can do 3 damage. Why waste time with a strategy or deck build that the main core strategy in the deck, line of play in the deck, it's just something that does 3 damage. It's like, for all that, I could just play I could just put a couple battle cards in my deck that have triple strike and simplify it that way. And that's the other thing. It's taking something that is made more difficult. It's made more that's made to have more steps and simplified. That's why it's always funny to. That's why it's always funny to see. People playing certain evolution chains, and it's like, okay, you did all that and the outcome wasn't that great. It was just like, all right, that's a pretty pretty basic outcome, but you did all that for that, so that did nothing. And I always, when I see scenarios like that, I always be thinking like, you could have just played this card, or you could have just played an overwhelm and got the same result, or some shit like that. Like a lot of times that tends to be the case, where it's like, yeah, all that wasn't necessary. That all looked nice. It looked fun, but it wasn't practical. It was unnecessary. The main thing was it was unnecessary. Like, you didn't need to do all that just to try to double strike me. You could have just played anything with double strike, and it would have been just as effective, or something like that. You know, that kind of idea. Like some type of chain or strategy to try to get something onto the field with dual attack. You know, the ability to attack twice, and it'd be 20k and stuff like that. And you did this whole chain to try to make it hard to counter, or you know, like you did some type of chain where it's like, oh, this has barrier, but then when I evolve, now the card that I play has deflect or something. It's like, oh, that's cool and all, and all that was just to end up with a dual attacker with 20k power. Okay. You could have played a unison that was 20k with dual attack and had the same results, because you wouldn't have to worry about, you wouldn't have to worry about counter play, or somebody playing something that that can KO. Like, basically, you don't have to worry about God Sealing Trunks or Charismatic Villain Frieza if you just played a unison that had dual attack. Why waste time with a battle card? Strategy to try to pull out put on the field a dual attacker that's 20k, when you could just play a 20k dual attack unison and get the same results. Actually, better, because one, you're playing less cards. Two, it's just much better in general. It's not a battle card, so it has a lot of benefits for not being a battle card. So it's why not. That's why it's not surprising that a lot of my decks have a lot of copies of unisons. I don't see it as a lot of copies. A lot of other players do. A lot of other players say that I play too many unisons, but it's like, no, I play what I need, and I need all the unisons that I'm playing. I need them, so I use them, and they're the MVPs in a lot of my decks, because they're unisons, because they're not battle cards. So it's just weird sometimes to hear people complain about me playing too much of something, or me not playing enough of something. It's like I play what I play because it works. If it didn't work, I wouldn't do it. I only like to do things that work, and if it works for me, it works. I truly believe that if it works for me, it should work for everybody else. But if it doesn't work for everybody else, then that's a y'all problem. The problem it comes from y'all, not from me, because it works for me. I have no problem playing a deck without super combos. I have no problem playing a deck with 12 unisons. They work for me. They don't work for you, that's fine. That's just that just shows the difference between you and me. I can do what you can't. That's fine. That's okay. Not everyone has to be able to do what I do. Not everyone has to be, at my level. So be it. Everybody has different levels. Everybody has different ways they like to play. Do what you want. It would be nice if people, instead of complaining about me doing something a certain way, it would be better that they, especially, let's say I make a deck without super combos. Alright, if you want super combo in the deck, you can ask me what would I recommend to take out of the deck to make space for the super combo. Sometimes I might just say just throw it in there. The deck doesn't have to be 50. You can make the deck 54. Throw in 4 super combos, bang, you're good to go. If you really want super combos that bad, just throw it in. There's some cards you can take out. Maybe there's a card that you don't need that much in the deck, and you can throw in the super combo. If you don't like Champa or E Supreme Kai, then take them out and put in a super combo. doesn't bother me. You know, if you feel that that would mess up the deck's, you know, construction, right? The deck's build by doing that. Well, that's why it would be a good idea to ask me if that would be a good idea. If taking out Champa from the deck and replacing with Super Combo, would that make the deck less less consistent, less effective, less playable? You know, in my viewpoint, it's like, you know. But more likely, I'm gonna be like, nah. It'd be rare for me to be like, you know, nah, you gotta have the Champa. So, you know, I'd be like, yeah, you can take the Champa out. I just have it there just because it helps me speed up the process of dealing quick damage. Sometimes on turn 1, I want to double strike my opponent. That's a lot of times why I play Champa and E Supreme Kai. It's because I want to do 2 damage on turn 1. That's usually why I have it. It's not really for like late games. You know, Champa and E Supreme Kai is not for me to finish the game with. It's actually just to start, you know, dealing my opponent damage as soon as possible. So it's actually early game is what I want Champa and E Supreme Kai for. Late game, obviously I prefer burn. I want a burn effect late game. But early game, that's where the Champa and E Supreme Kai comes in. You know, but if somebody is like, you know, it cares more about what they could do late game and they rather have super combos for late game, then yeah, take out the Champas and put in super combos and use super combo late game, because that's the way you play. You know, if you need super combos for when you're going for game, then you need super combos to go for game. But I don't. I'm going a different route. I'm going the burn route, which doesn't require super combos. So that's just me. Like right now, I'm working on a Attapoll burn deck, or an upgraded version of the Attapoll burn deck. So that's why I'm talking about like burn and stuff, because I'm actually looking at the profile that I'm going to play test with. But again, game plan. So as you can see, I'm explaining my game plan, which is I'm trying to get my opponent down to 2 life and then burn them. That's my game plan. That's the goal. So if I could build my deck to do that, to accomplish getting my opponent down to 2 life and burn them for 2, or get them down to 1 life and burn them for 1, or something along that lines, then, or if I have a strategy to burn my opponent for 4 life, or just make 4 life from their life area, you know, get removed from their life area, whether it be warp or get sent to the bottom of the deck, or added to my opponent's hand, or sent to drop, whatever. If I can get the last, you know, if I could, you know, deal 4 damage, as it were, to my opponent, then it's like, alright, then the goal is to get them to 4 and then do that effect. You know, create that outcome that will allow me to win. And that's the thing, is like, you gotta have an outcome, a strategy, cards you rely on specifically to get you that outcome that you're looking for. First and foremost, you need your win cons, right? First and foremost, you need your cards to help you achieve that goal of what you're trying to do. So since me, I'm trying to get my opponent down to 2 life, that's why I use Champa or a whole bunch of double strikers. So I incorporate double strikers into my deck so that I can get my opponent down to 2 life as quickly as possible. Then I put cards that burn, whether it deal 1 damage or 2 damage, preferably low cost. That way I could potentially play more than 1 copy of the card. Like, let's say I have a 3-drop Unison, they can burn my opponent for 1, then the scenario would be is that I will want to play 2 of them. I will want 2 Unisons, you know, 2 copies of that Unison, and use both of them in the same turn. So being able to play 1 for 3 and then burn my opponent for 1, then use a leader that untaps energy and untap 2, so that way I could be back up to 3 energy, right? And then use those 3 energy to play a 2nd copy and then burn my opponent for 1 damage. Like that kind of scenario is what I would want to be able to do. So that's where that would come in. Or if I have 6 energy to play the cards back to back, play 1 for 3, burn, then play the other 1 for 3 and burn, then there's that. Or just some type of strategy where, like for example, I'm looking at the lightning fast hit combo with the hit space time transcended. So it's a 6 energy strategy where you pay 3 energy to play the hit space time transcended onto the field, then use his active main by paying 3, you know, 2 reds, 1 of anything, in order to evolve a lightning fast hit from my warp or my drop area on top of him, which means I gotta get a lightning fast hit to the drop area. Obviously, I could combo him to get him to the drop area, so that's one way I could get a lightning fast hit to the drop. Then all I have to do is, you know, is preferably get to turn 4, where I have 4 energy, right? And my leader with the ability to untap 2 energies would be nice. So that way I can pay 3 to play hit space time transcendent, right? Which means I have 1 energy left over. Then use the leader's ability to awaken and untap 2 energies, so that way I'd be back at 3 energies. So now I have 3 energy. Use the 3 energy to play hit space time transcendent's active main ability to evolve the lightning fast hit from my drop area on top of it. And when the lightning fast hit is evolved, he deals 2 damage to my opponent, which is, you know, the goal, right? Get my opponent down to 2 and then burn him with lightning fast hit. That is the hit and win strategy. So I've put this strategy in a lot of decks. Play in Boma, because Boma is good at stalling, so it's good that she can get me to turn 6, because this could be a turn 6 play where, you know, I pay 3 to play him, 3 to activate his ability, and then evolve and do 2 damage. So she can help me stall to that, but she's also an untapped 2 leader, so she's really great for this, you know, hit and win strategy with lightning fast hit, because I could do the strategy on turn 4 using her awaken ability, or she can just help me stall to turn 6, and then I could just do it the hard way, where I could just, you know, pay 3 to play transcendent, and then pay 3 more to activate his active main just to evolve and then burn my opponent for 2. So she's a really good leader for that. But most other leaders that, you know, just have the untapped 2 energy, it's, you know, if I play my cards right, I do get to the point where on turn 4 I should be able to do this combo and be able to burn my opponent on turn 4 and deal them 2 damage per game, which is the game plan, right? So since that's the game plan, that's all I gotta do is achieve that outcome. Most people, you know, don't really have an outcome that preset. They don't have a preset outcome. Lately, I have been hearing some people, you know, have decks where it's like, oh yeah, man, turn 5 is when I do this, or turn 4 is when I do that. And it's like, yes, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear a game plan. I want to hear that you build a deck optimally and you build it specifically to do something, and you made it where it wins on turn 5. Great. That's what I should be hearing, especially in the competitive scene. In casual scene, yeah, whatever. I don't care if you do or don't have a win con, you know, because you're a casual player. But if you're a competitive player, I better hear your win con. I better hear your strategy, your game plan. You should be able to explain, yeah, my goal is to try to get to this turn to do this, that, and the third, and this is how I plan to win. And it's even better when it's not that you plan to win, it's once you get to that turn, you will win. I prefer that, because that means you put a lot of time and effort into the strategy, as well as you made the good choice. You chose something that works a certain way. So that's the thing. I noticed that not a lot of decks have win cons. They just, like, they don't have inherent win cons. Somebody would like text something in and be like, all right, this is a win con. It's like, okay, so you're using Mirror Creator Absorb with Champa, and that's your win con. Like, all right, cool. At least you have a win con, but it's not the win con that really comes with that deck strategy. Like, that deck is not doing much of anything special. It's just doing something pretty basic, where it's like, yeah, that's cute and all what the deck is doing, but it's not really necessary. You can deal your opponent 6 damage relatively easy just playing the game at the most basic level, just playing a couple double strikes, swinging with your leader, swinging with a unison, and that's more than enough to deal your opponent 6 damage. That you can just beat them with anything. Just swing with a leader, double strike, and that's it. Game. You don't need to do much, but so many people try to do some fancy stuff. I call it style points, where people are trying to win with a certain strategy or combo. And it's like, all right, cool, to each their own. If you really want to win in that fancy kind of way, then so be it. If it makes you happy, makes you enjoy the game, you enjoy it. I'm not against it. I like to finesse. That's the term people use. Finesse. I like to finesse sometimes. I like to be fancy. I have a couple of decks where I have a 10 drop Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, which can make which can let me choose up to 4 cards of my opponent's life and put it at the bottom of their deck. So the goal is to get them to 4 life and then use that effect. But in order to do so, I need 15 energy in order to trigger that effect. Plus, I need 10 energies to play him in the first place, right? So I need 15 energies so that way I can use 10 to play him, which means I have 5 left over, and then just trigger his effect, and then bang, make my put 4 cards from opponent's life to the bottom of their deck. And if they only have 4 life, then they lose. That's very finessing, right? It takes a lot of prep, a lot of practice to get to the point where you can consistently do that. But is it really necessary to do all that? I mean, in the most basic way I play the game, I get my opponent down to 2 life relatively easy. A lot of times I get them down to 1 life, so it's kind of pointless, the whole idea of trying to get them to just get them down to 4 and then try to do this strategy where I make them lose 4 life. It's like I could already get them down to 2 or 1 life. All I really need is just something that costs way less than 10 energy. Definitely I don't need 15 energy in order to play something where I could burn my opponent for 1 or 2 damage. Being able to burn my opponent for 4 or 5 energy, is optimal. It's more preferred. So the idea of actually trying to have 15 energies, to do something that's just finessing. That's just style points. That is not necessary. And I get it, because I like to have fun too. I like to do the impossible, as they say, right? It's like, it's not necessary, but if I can do it, why not, right? Why not do it? Have some fun. I get it, but it's not always necessary, especially in the competitive scene. It's not necessary. It'd be cool to go to a tournament with that Gogeta strategy, but it's not necessary. That's going too far. That's more for fun than anything. Like, I'll definitely do that with my friends just for fun, but I wouldn't, want to go to a tournament and try to do that strategy over and over again consistently, because that's too much effort and work just to do something, just to do that, when I could just 4 energy, play 2 Bardic Raiders Warcry, and do 4 damage that way. You know what I mean? Like, I could just go that route. So that's the thing about game plan. It's like, when you have a game plan, you have a understanding of how you deal damage. If you can do 2 damage every turn consistently, well, that's a good game plan, and that's your skill level that you can consistently kind of guarantee 2 damage per turn. That by turn 4, you should be going for game, or you should be in a winning position. If it requires you to be, if you got to go beyond that, if you get in a scenario where the best you can do is 2 damage and you're already on, you can only do 2 damage and you're on turn 4, like, something went wrong. You might want to reevaluate your strategy. Something I noticed that a lot of players do is that they're always trying to beat other people's decks, trying to stop people from playing certain cards like battle cards, which is why I focus on my leader and unisons more often, because these cards are hard to interact with, and your opponent is usually not playing cards in the deck to beat your leader and unison. They're usually playing cards to beat your battle cards. In some decks, they're playing cards to beat your extra cards, like your negates. Like, what is it called? A counter, Swift Retaliation Cooler. So there's some decks, right? They're playing Swift Retaliation Cooler because they're trying to stop your Floodgate negates, like Flying Nimbus or your Violent Rays or something like that. So that's the kind of stuff they're trying to stop. So they're trying to stop the Floodgate negates, right? And your battle cards. That's usually what they're trying to do. That's why they'll play stuff like Massane or something. But if all you're really doing is focusing on your playing unisons, using your leader to do the most amount of damage, then your opponent playing these cards to try to counter or react to or defeat, you know, your battle cards or extra cards in your deck is pointless when you're literally relying on your leader and your unisons more than anything, which is why it's not too surprising that I play 12 unisons on average, because I rely on them the most. They help me circumvent how the meta is, right? How everybody else playing it. Instead of me trying to counter everybody else's counter, instead of me trying to counter or outplay somebody's charismatic villain Frieza or God-Sealing Trunks, I'm like, I'll just play Unison. I'll play Unison as my win con. Because why play a battle card that doesn't have deflect if God-Sealing can stop it, right? Why play a battle card that doesn't have barrier if charismatic villain can pop it? So my win con, if it's a battle, if my win con is I play something and I attack with it for game, it needs to be immune to God-Sealing Trunks and charismatic villain Frieza, and Heron's lineage, which is what a unison does. A unison is immune to all that. Let's say I have a win con that's an extra card, like Catastrophic Blow. Alright? Give me a second, I'm thinking. Yeah, that'd be, no, never mind, Catastrophic Blow would be irrelevant. But the main thing is that my opponent is going to have some strategy to try to beat my battle cards. So if I rely more on my unisons and leaders, that helps me circumvent that, which makes sense. Which is why the deck has a good amount of unisons, so that way I can just rely on them, play them. So if my opponent defeats a unison, that's fine. I just play another one. You know what I mean? And they kind of act like deadly defenders, because once you put a unison on the field and the unison is creating a problem, then it makes it all great. For example, I have SS Trunks Altering the Future. It's a 20k dual attack unison that's in my Attapoll deck, and it's like, well, there you go. That's 20k that can attack twice. There's a lot of battle cards that are 20k that attack twice, but some of them cost more than 3 energy. He costs 3 specified yellow. So there's some that cost more to get a 20k dual attack. Then they're battle cards, and then they mostly only 20k dual attack. That means they don't have barrier or deflect or something like that. So they're vulnerable to charismatic villain Frieza, God-Sealing. That could definitely be a problem when you're trying to win and your opponent just uses those cards to stop you. So it would be better for you to play Unison instead, So this is not about unisons, but that is important. That's why I have multiple unisons, because my game plan is, if my opponent is playing a lot of cards to beat my unisons, beat my battle cards. Let's say they're playing a card that negates the effects, the skills of all my battle cards. Alright, then I play unison, because the unison is not a battle card, so it's immune to that. So even more reasons why I get back to 12 unisons is the way, right? Because it's only logical. It's they're among the they're in a category where they're like a battle card, but they're like an extra card at the same time. So they're like a mixture of both. Basically, they're a pendulum card, like in Yu-Gi-Oh. So definitely a fan. Obviously, we classify them like planeswalkers, like in Magic. Same thing, right? But that's what makes them so awesome, is that they're a card that you can play, that you can attack with, that isn't a battle card, so they're immune to a lot of cards that are designed specifically for battle cards. Someday they'll make counters for unisons, but for now we don't have that. So unisons are free to get you where you need to get you to, which is preferably win. Some unisons have burn effects, which is great, because again, since they're unisons, they're essentially untouchable cards you can use, and having burn comes in handy because it's part of my strategy, which is to get my opponent down to a low life point and finish the game with burn which is my main strategy. My ultimate strategy, nothing else really matters, because everything else is just pretty basic. Like, I just like trying different things sometimes. Like, I'll put Heartfelt Plea into a deck. For example, I have Heartfelt Plea in my Attapoll deck, and I just because it's a good card, and you know, I can have some fun with it. It might come in handy. I might be in a situation where my opponent has 5 life, and dropping this Heartfelt Plea might you know, be very helpful in helping me you know, win the game. Since I do, interesting enough, since I do have the Heron's Lineage, I could use the Heron's Lineage to grab my opponent's battle card, 7 cost or less. That's a red battle card with 25k power or more, right? Bring it to my side of the field, then you know, swing with the battle card, do whatever I want to do with my opponent's battle card, but then awaken my leader, right? And because I awaken, I can send my opponent's battle card that's on my side of the field to the drop to play Heartfelt Plea, and then, you know, more likely draw 2 cards for Heartfelt Plea, and then have a 30k triple striker and swing at my opponent's leader and drop my hand into the attack and pretty much probably go for game right there and then. So the possibility of that, the possibility that I can Heron's Lineage into a Heartfelt Plea type play, or I have MicroRecords in this deck, so I can use MicroRecords to steal my opponent's red battle card and Heartfelt Plea. So that's the kind of cool thing, that if I'm going up against a mono red deck, you know, the fact that I have these 2 cards in the deck, the ability to take my opponent's battle cards, can help me play the Heartfelt Plea, so I don't have to play my own battle card to play Heartfelt Plea. The only thing I have in this deck that can trigger Heartfelt Plea is my lightning fast hit. But the funny thing is, if he's on the field, then that means I should have already won the game, right? Because if he's on the field, that means I was able to pull off the combo of hit space time to get lightning fast hit on the field. So I should, by the time I do that, it should be game. But you know, again, like I said, it's there just in case. I can use it. It's there for another reason. It's the fact that it's a red-yellow energy, so it helps. The deck is both red and yellow, so it's there as energy. Plus the fact that I could play, and then with MicroRecords and Heron's Lineage, I could, you know, those cards can help me, you know, pretty much make it easier to play the cards. So I have the option, and I have a super combo. Yes, the We Celestial Moderator super combo to give me more red and yellow, because it's important to make sure I have, since the deck is both red and yellow, a red-yellow deck, I need to make sure I have a good amount of red-yellow multicolor cards to help with that, that balance of red and yellow energy. So yeah, you know, game plan. Gotta have the game plan. Had to have a specific way to win that requires specific cards. Then after that, that's where you just, you know, fill the deck with, you know, tech cards, good basic cards. The most basic stuff you need, it will be Floodgate Negates, right? A way to survive a turn, right? I classify them as like time walk cards that I use to gain an extra turn, like Raccoon Eraser Gun, Flying Nimbus. These are cards, Attapoll, right? These are cards that I just use to get an extra turn. So these are time walk type of effects, and board wipes, which in ways can also work as what is it called? Can work as you know, time walk like effects. Because in this Attapoll deck, I have Kaioken Goku that I could play from my hand and you know, KO all my opponent's battle cards 20k or less. But I also have the SS Trunks Alternate Future Unison, which has the -3 ability to let me draw a card, then choose all of my opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO them. So if I just so happen to, like, you know, survive a turn, if I just so happen to survive a turn where my opponent, you know, was attacking and I survived that turn, then I could just be like, alright, next turn, play Trunks, use Trunks ability, you know, board wipe. Obviously, since he's dual attack, you want to take advantage of his ability to attack twice and attack with him twice first. Apply pressure on opponent's leader, and then do his -3 to board wipe your opponent. That way they would have to re-establish a board in order to try to attack you. So of course, floodgate negates is important to survive a turn. Board wiping is important to survive a turn. You know, you're always trying to get an extra turn. That's the game plan, right? For me, the game plan is always getting extra turns, getting to a specific turn, especially if it's your win con turn, and to have a win con for that win con turn. Having multiple win cons is better than having just one, obviously. These are just the criteria that I think about. But that's the thing. You gotta have a game plan. You gotta have a way to win the game. No ifs, ands, or buts. No matter who you're matched up against, no matter what, you know, to get there. Sometimes, like, you know, like I was mentioning with the unisons, sometimes some of the unisons, they tend to be alternative to a win con. Like, I might have lightning fast hit in this deck, right, for you know, winning the game by burning my opponent for 2. But let's say I had a unison that could also burn for 2, or, you know, or can burn for 1. But if I play 2 copies, then, you know, I could do 2, and I just gotta, you know, set it up and pull it off. So then I have more than one way to pull off the goal, which, you know, like the game plan. The goal is to deal the last 2 damage to my opponent so I can win. Having more than one way, having a unison way of burning my opponent, but also have a battle card way of burning my opponent, it's good, because you never know. You might be in a scenario where you can't use a unison to win the game, so then you use a battle card instead. Or you can't use the battle card to win, so then you need the unison to win, you know what I mean? So having both matters. Same thing as having a leader, you know, as a win con. You know, sometimes people don't consider their leader as a win con. Like, they don't plan to use their leaders to win the game. So they usually, like, they'll just use their leader for, like, as a draw engine or as a utility card, which is okay. You know, to, you know, if they serve that purpose, they serve that purpose. But a lot of times, your leader is your, you know, is a reliable attacker. Sometimes somebody will play a battle card trying to attack with it, not realizing that was a waste. They were better off just using the leader as their attacker, right? And then doing and pumping, you know, cards into that leader's swing and going for game with the leader. They'll try to win with a battle card, but then end up in a scenario where the opponent plays a Heron's Lineage and steal their battle card, or, you know, plays an SCR, or does something that only works against a battle card. But if they focus on their leader, they would have made sure that those cards were useless, because those cards don't work on a leader. So that's why I put a lot of emphasis on my leader, my unisons, and since I have Hero's Lineage, you know, that extra card, right? So I rely on those 3 types of cards to, plus, you know, burn effects, of course, to help me win games, because, you know, that's my game plan. That's what I'm doing, and it works. So why not keep doing it? And every deck I incorporate that game plan, that strategy of, you know, leader, unisons, burn, extra card effect that might be useful, like Hero's Lineage, for example, and, you know, go that route. Of course, double strike, you know, gotta throw that in there. Double strike helps against a lot of decks. There's a lot of matchups where double strike is very important, very useful. Some people don't even consider that. That's why it's funny that for a long time people weren't using Champa and Iserpine Kai, not realizing how useful it is to help speed the game up. Because some matchups, you need to be able to do your opponent a lot of damage, because sometimes they use their life as a resource to give themselves an advantage. Like, if you go up against Mecha Frieza, you better be double striking. You better be Champa and Iserpine Kai-ing your opponent left and right. If you go up against Dark Broly, before they awaken, you want to take advantage of dealing them as much damage as possible. You want to deal them at least 6 damage before they awaken, or at least deal them 6 damage, and then, you know, defend yourself on the clap back, because they'll try to use their ability to awaken to clap back. Defend yourself on the clap back, and then just finish them off afterwards. You know, it's just about understanding what your opponent's deck can do, and take that to account. That's important. But ultimately, what your deck can do and what you're trying to do is way more important than what your opponent's trying to do. What your opponent's trying to do doesn't matter. It's important to know what they're trying to do, but it's not more. But it's not. You shouldn't dedicate 90% of your thought process, especially when you're playing a match, on what your opponent is trying to do or what your opponent can do. It doesn't matter what they can do or what they're trying to do. What matters is what your deck can do and what you're trying to do. As long as you make sure you do good with your defenses and you keep the defenses and you're always getting them extra turns and you're always dealing damage to the point where the game is over in your favor, that's all that matters. That's the whole point of a game plan, is that you should know how you're going to win, and all you're doing is whatever it takes for you to win. It's not about, oh, he has a unison, I might want to get rid of that. Okay, you might want to get rid of it, but it might not be that important. It might not matter. If the unison is not really that much of a problem, if the unison is not stopping you from dealing damage, it don't matter. If the unison, that's the way I look at it. If the unison is not stopping you from dealing damage, it doesn't matter. If all the unison is doing is giving 5k boosts to their leader or a battle card, whoop-de-freaking do, it don't matter. It's not that deep. You can, it don't matter. And for now, that'd be the end.